Okay guys, I'm gonna try and do a small video here giving a walk through some of the years of White Dwarf. This is the oldest issue that I have, which is issue number 39. Actually, White Dwarf began back in 1977, and like a lot of gaming magazines, it started off as a every 2-month magazine. Somewhere along the line it changed to a monthly magazine. As I said, this is my earliest issue, which is 39, and that's April of 1983. I thought we'd take a jump through the years, maybe every 5 years, take a stop, take a look at the White Dwarf magazine and see what the changes are and how things have grown since the beginning, early in this hobby. This very first issue only cost $3, and it probably, well, before I say this, I probably ought to warn you guys, if you're drinking a brew or a soda, maybe you should put your sippy cup down and swallow what's in your mouth so you don't spit all over your screen, and sit forward if you're sitting back in your chair. I don't want anybody to flip over. This is not going to be the kind of gaming magazine that you're used to seeing if you've only been looking at White Dwarf over the last 10 years or so. You're going to find this to be quite a bit different. So with that warning, let me tell you, artwork has always been fantastic with White Dwarf, and probably one of the things that drew me to it to begin with. This issue that I have here, number 39, is a good example of that. Here's a great cover. You've got an iconic warrior on here with this great battle axe with a little bit of a glint of the sun coming through on it. You've got a guy here with a sort of an American Indian type feather and headband, yet he's got the mustache of a Viking and is wearing leathers. He's on this equine creature, not quite a horse because the mane is definitely not horse-like. There's these 3 wolves running with him as well, some nice light coming through the trees. I believe the artist on this was Bibby, B-I-B-B-Y. And here's probably where the shocks will start coming for you. Right here on the cover, there are 2 things that you probably wouldn't expect to see on a White Dwarf magazine today. The first being the title across the top, which I'm sure you can't see here with that flip video, but it says the role-playing game monthly. It might surprise you that White Dwarf did not begin as a tabletop miniatures battle gaming monthly magazine. It really started because Steve Jackson and the guys that started Games Workshop played D&D and really liked it, and they wanted to be able to sell D&D in the UK, so they started the White Dwarf to advertise the game and to sell it in the UK. The other thing that would be surprising is there are 2 scenarios for other game companies that are mentioned on the cover here. Again, I'm sure you can't see it on the video, but this is like Slayground, a Champions scenario, and Human Gods, and D&D Deities. Again, TSR, a big push for that. You've got color on the inside magazine and cover, but most of the magazine itself is black and white. And this is an advertisement for one of their games. This is actually a Games Workshop game. In fact, I don't know whether I can slip it into the picture here or not, but this is the game. Miniatures were not playing a big a part in the company at this time. To show proof of that, boy, for a Games Workshop game, is that not sad? I mean, those are part cheesy pieces, and a dice, those were the parts to the game. Thank goodness Games Workshop has brought miniatures a long way into the future, and for the better. What they're advertising for their mail order are expert D&D dragon scenarios, advanced D&D dragon scenarios, Behind the Lines, Call of Cthulhu, Man, Myth, and Magic, Thieves Guild, Thieves World, Traveler, a FASA game. They were the importers of games to England from the United States. Things certainly have turned around now, where they are the great exporter of games, and we wait for their output here in the United States. As you can see, black and white and a lot of advertisement. This first issue is only about 40 pages long, and a very general gaming magazine. Still some nice artwork. It's black and white, it's pinned. Here's some interesting play aids that were issued. It's the 2D terrain with all the 3D terrain that they're doing today. This was 2D terrain. Here's one of the first indications of good things to come. Some of the first showing of Citadel miniatures. We have some dwarves here, of course, dwarves and clerics. Pricing was pretty good back then, I would say. I think you got 5 each of dwarves and clerics for a price of £3, and it looks like it was free post to get them sent to you. The features in the magazine, and you can see we're almost 9 pages into the magazine, and you're just now getting into the list of the contents. It's all advertisement up to that point. The features of the magazine, again, here you're talking about RuneQuest, introduction to Traveler, Champions game, Dungeons and Dragons, advanced D&D scenario, a day in the life of a monster, again for D&D, a Fiend Factory, which is stuff for the Fiend Folio, again from D&D, open box, a look at the future games, again many of them role-playing games, letters coming into them. Let's see. This is the section that showed the monsters, and the statistics for the monsters are going to be things that D&D players would be familiar with, things like armor class, move, hit points, agility, number of attacks, that type of thing. And you can see some of the artwork again. Not bad artwork at all, but very much inked black and white, but the type of thing that attracted fantasy players. This is where they were talking about games coming out in the future. One of the things they were talking about were the solo played books, which I know I have a bunch of somewhere around here. Rune Blades, nice artwork. Again, a scenario with all the information that you need to work up your game or add it into one of your own scenarios. The introduction to Traveler, this says it's part 4, so this is something that they probably were carrying through for several issues of the magazine. Slayground, another scenario with all the statistics needed and the background information. This is kind of nice and unusual for this old of a magazine. There is some color. These are hexagon maps for the layout where the scenario takes place. But unusual to see color in the interior of the magazine. Usually that was reserved just for the covers. This was the D&D scenario. A little bit of color here again, at least some green on the map. This is a little bit different. This is where the letters came in for them to talk to people interested in gaming and answer their questions. They had also critiques on, or at least reviews of books. As you can see here, these were not Black Library books that are produced by Games Workshop. These were Robert Heinlein, Isaac Asimov, Arthur C. Clarke, science fiction writers of the day. And again, small print, a lot of content for the 40 pages, but also a lot of advertisement. And talking about things to come, they talked about Steve Jackson coming to America, to California, to go to the games, whatever they had at those times. They were showing that they would be coming out with miniatures for Crystal, which was kind of an interesting little fantasy movie done with puppets of the Jim Henson type thing. And here's another little bit of an indication of miniatures to come, but you're talking about less than 10 miniatures in the entire magazine being shown. Got one up here. And a call for people to subscribe to the magazine. And this is just small ads for local people and small game clubs over in England to put things out about when things were happening and things for sale, that type of thing. Another advertisement for RuneQuest, full page, and Traveler, And as you can see, Games Workshop's presence in here as far as its own stuff is very minimal. For the most part, it was an import company bringing in games from the United States. Obviously, they will hit their stride later, and the entire magazine will become dedicated only to Games Workshop products. But this is quite different probably from what you're used to seeing today. Again, color returns to the end of the magazine with a full page ad for RuneQuest, showing a couple of the miniatures associated with that game and the expansions. You'll notice all prices and everything are in pounds. This was not really even printed in the United States. It was brought in and printed in England. And in the back, TSR game, Gangbusters. That one I didn't get. I tend to like fantasy and science fiction a lot more than I do historical games. But that's the look at one of the earliest editions that I have. I'm going to jump forward probably in the next video and talk to you a little bit about their milestone issue, which just happened to fall in April of 1988, 5 years from now, and that will be issue 100. So hopefully this will come out, and I will get it up and talk to you later. God bless. Bye.